Evening, folks. Good evening. And it's Leah. And guess what? I can barely see. I can barely see anything. So just be on the alert. But I am going to tell you, God is taking care of this. So at some point, I've been praying a long time, and I know His hand is working in a lot of this stuff. But I wanted to point out something. I know I was disappointed with some of the election results for the midterms in 2018, and that is not. But California, being that it is the goofy state that it has become, they're trying to. I don't know if they're doing a whole thing to, burn the place down or what, but they were trying at least. And we got a lot of resiliency in this state. Unfortunately, we do have a lot of people who do not know how to run anything in California, so that's their own problem, and sometimes we have to deal with it. All right. Before I go on, I have my little Christmas decoration on. I'm decorated as, I've got a nice little Christmas sweater on. I have got a Santa hat, and I'm all decorated for the season. But I wanted to focus on something that disturbed me a little bit. And it is disturbing because people don't really know what the true meaning of the story of Christmas is all about. In fact, a lot of people in liberal churches are using it to stay with current issues. And in the process, they're losing the whole idea of what it is actually all about. Now, I want to take some time to kind of go over this for a little bit. Christmas is not about immigration, nor is it about homelessness. The first family of Christmas was not homeless, nor were they immigrants. They were subjects of a dictatorship known as Rome. They were not free people. In fact, they had to go to Bethlehem to pay their taxes or register in the census so they can get taxes out of them for a part of the decree of Caesar Augustus. So let's be honest about that whole thing. Some people are using it to say that Jesus was an immigrant and therefore we should show compassion. We should show compassion on illegals. This is not about illegal immigration. This is not about immigration. Jesus was the Son of God. Jesus was not homeless. A lot of people use the Christmas story to put meaning into homelessness, which it had not intended to do. Now, we should be kind to people who are hurting and all that, but that is not the story of Christmas. The story of Christmas has a lot of turns and pitfalls. Mary, who was one of the most, I believe to be the most significant character in the Christmas story, was a teenager who had foregone a reputation, had to endure a lot of criticism because she was pregnant with a child that was not that of her husband Joseph. Joseph did marry her anyway, and Joseph took a step of faith that believing that what she had was in fact the Son of God. He didn't live to see the crucifixion through and through, but she did. And so Mary had to endure a lot of things. She had to endure that long trip as a pregnant woman on the way to Bethlehem. They had to endure being sent out of the inn. They couldn't stay in the inn because they were all crowded due to the census. And They endured a dirty stable with nothing but a manger to lay this little baby in and wrap him in swaddling clothes. If you know anything about swaddling clothes, that's usually the strips of cloth that was made for dead animals. I think the symbolism there is something to be beholden to. Think about that for a minute. Swaddling clothes? To swaddle a baby? Swaddle dying animals? Jesus would come to die? Think about that. The wise men bringing gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Gold being the gift for a king, frankincense being the offering for that of a priest, and myrrh, the bitter spice, as an offering for a sacrifice. Everything in that story is very significant, and people miss it so much of the time because they have agendas they have to abide by. The agenda is not about homelessness, nor is it about immigration or anything the current world of the liberal church is telling about the Christmas story. Let me tell you something about the real Christmas story. A little bit. The dirty old stable, you see the nativity scene and everything looks clean by pretty much every standard, but there was, probably stunk. It probably smelled like hay and animals. And it was an old cave, probably hollow out cave, big enough to, where they put the animals in, and they had to, and shepherds. The first people to come to see the Christ were not the chief priests or the religious leaders of the time. The religious leaders of the time were 5 miles away in Jerusalem. Probably an hour's drive, or an hour's horseback ride, or at least small time. Didn't have long to take them. The wise men saw the star 2 years prior and searched for that little baby. And they probably took a few months to get there, and they had to endure Herod, who was probably, he was neurotic. This was not a nice guy. He was so obsessed with his own power that he had many of his sons and at least one wife killed. Not to mention the babies in Bethlehem. This was a tough thing. Mary had to think about a lot of these things. She had to escape in the night to Egypt with Joseph. Joseph, who was roused out of a dream, made sure they escaped in the night to go to Egypt. I can imagine what she was thinking about the other little children that were being slaughtered far behind, and how it was so happened that her son Jesus was safe. But here, there was a lot more that Mary had to endure, especially when Jesus grew to be a man and he endured the cross. That cross of shame. Think about it. We want to see the helpless babe in the manger, but we don't want to endure the cross. How is it that we miss it in our culture? Because we have too many agendas we have to think about, and we miss the entire story of Jesus himself, Yeshua. So let's honor him the way he's supposed to be honored. That is all I have to say. And God bless you. And have a wonderful Christmas. I will try to go live and set a time to do the, I'll set it up to do the live event. So I'm going to be doing something. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to do a live show for some people, and I will be doing I'm trying to do a concert. And if I can manage this with the YouTube thing, and then we will be able to get that done. I would love to see this happen. I would love to see this happen so that um, um, people can help us out and help me out, because I spent a lot of money on a trip to Arkansas with my husband. We had to do a funeral, and of course that took a lot out of our budget. So please pray that I can earn some Christmas cash in order to afford some gifts for some people that we love dearly in both of our families. All right. God bless you and take care.
Finish button. Double tap to activate. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Cancel. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Okay button.